Hello everybody, this is Noemi Smith again, and this time I'm going to show you how to make just a simple armature for an art doll as I'm getting ready for making my witch for Halloween. Okay, what do you need to make this project? You need a marker, a body pattern. This body pattern is only for my students though. I'm not sharing this with everybody, sorry about that. You can find any kind of a body pattern if you Google body proportions, female body proportions online. You can find many kinds of patterns of structure for sculpting. You're gonna need wire, you're going to need white floral tape, some pliers, there's a cutter and a plier, and a little bit of epoxy clay, any kind of epoxy clay, it doesn't matter what brand it is, it's going to work still. So this is my pattern. This one is about 18. Alright, so in the pattern I'm just going to mark the areas where the wire is going to be going. Here. Hold on, it's pretty much in the middle of everything. Going down to the hips, this part. It could actually go like this, doesn't necessarily have to be like that. There you go. It will help a little bit if you do it on here too. You don't have to though. There you go. This is the way I pretty much always do my, if it's a full body doll, or even for a partial body cloth, mix it with the cloth and clay body, still the same, I will do the same thing. Forever and ever. I'm using an 18 gauge steel galvanized wire. It could be probably a little bit thicker than this, but sadly this is the only thing I have right now. So this is what I'm going to use. The size, the thickness of the wire depends on the size of the doll. If the doll is smaller, you can work with a smaller galvanized wire, a smaller gauge. I mean, probably a 20. If it's bigger, you will need even a 16 or a 14 for a even larger size doll. It has to be thicker and more stronger as the size of the doll goes. Alright, as you can see, this is an A4 paper, so it was a little bit completely and absolutely tight to print this on. So I'm going to give a little bit more for the length of the legs, and the head is also a little bit chopped down, but that's actually easy to, it's not that complicated to catch on. I'm going to give it this length. I'm going to try to follow my line, and I'm going to go back and forth. Once I get the edge of the head, pretty much it has to be this long. You want to make it a little bit longer actually. Wait, no, my wire got tangled. Great. I'm gonna get this working, don't worry. I got it, okay. Gotta stretch this up. And then I cut. This has to be straight, because if it is like this, it's not gonna help your cows. And it will be better to use. Just try to make it as much straight and nice as you can, because this is gonna help you later on. Okay, I got one for the body in general. Now I'm gonna get another little piece for the arms. Always giving a little bit more. Oops, this one got some on the tip actually. Alright, now I try to find the middle of this and fold it over a little bit like that. Alright, now I'm going to grab the top of this building here, and I'm going to start twisting it like that. Wait, it's getting away from me. Try to make it as much even as I can possibly do it. Let me check. The head should be sitting on here, so that's the size I'm checking for. Probably 2 more and that's it. Yeah, that's more than enough. Okay, there you go. Okay, like I said, try to make it as much as straight and nice as you can. Then I'm going to locate the arm part right on here in the middle of this, and we're going to try to also coil it through it as much even as I can, especially the wire is a bit thicker. Doing this part can be very tricky. Just to hold the wire in place. You don't want it to be wiggling around. Or you can also do this and twist it with the body. Either way. The thing is that you want this shape here so far, like this, okay? Alright, now I'm on the torso, and I'm gonna keep on going, twisting this around. There we go. We try to do it, yeah, nice and straight. Straight line. Straight line. And I'm going to try to match these 2 points, the arms right there, and I need to reach the hip. Dun, dun. I think I did. Oh, yep. Pretty much up to reaching the hip area, and then you will split the wires this way. I will split from one leg to the other leg. Over there, and then when you grab this joint that you marked before, you're gonna bend it and bend it over there. And that's pretty much has a shape of the skeleton or the armature that you want to make. You want to guide yourself even more. You also want to do the joints on the arms. There. And as much precisely as you could over here. Alright. Now we can check that our wire is going to perfectly fit on the size and the dimensions of the pattern. Make a little bit straight there. Alright, for example, this should be the length of the arm. So if I went over, I have to cut this, okay? Cut that. It's better that you have more material, more wire left over like that than missing wire. When you have a missing wire and you can't reach the pattern, you're gonna have to do it again, because you can't just, I don't know, glue back another wire there. It's not gonna be stable at all. That's why it's very important giving a little bit more of the length for the arms and the legs, because you can always cut it later. And now adding is the part that is very tricky. Okay, there. I'm going to try to follow the shape of the body. I like to do that. It kind of guides me. There you go, okay. I'm trying to follow the lines. I'm even gonna do this little curvature here. There. And another one here a little bit. Here. A little bit. Don't hurt too. There you go. And now I know. Remember, my pattern is cut down, so I have to think about that when I'm cutting my wire. Probably not even an inch. No, probably not even an inch. It's actually this little much here. I'll do it a little bit more, just in case. Unless you want your doll to be a little bit having a long legs, sometimes that does look good, aesthetically talking. Alright, now I'm gonna cut all my points that I marked. The arms. This one was longer than the other one. And the legs. Alright, and this is what I have so far. Totally looks like a skeleton there, a wire skeleton, and that is exactly what it is a wire skeleton for a doll. Because you need to have some kind of support. Alright, after I have this process done, I'm going to go, this is how it looks, there you go. I'm going to grab my floral tape, preferable to be white, because if it's green it might show through the clay when you're making your doll later on, so I prefer to use white. Alright, that goes your floral tape, and I need to cut this in half, so I will have a couple pieces to work with. I personally don't like today I have a little bit of my allergies and it's affecting everything else myself. The thickness of the tape, I don't like to work with the full thickness. I prefer to work with the small stripes. There you go. Now this tape is not going to work if you don't do this. You need to stretch it. When you stretch it, you activate the glue on the tape. If you don't do that, the stuff is never going to glue to anything. And it pretty much it glues to itself, so have that in consideration too. Now I'm going to start wrapping the wire. This is going to help the polymer clay, to get easily better stick around into the naked wire. I always do this, and it does help the cause. I have always done this same technique for my armatures, always. And there I cut it. And I fold it and try to glue it back together like that. Bring out the other arm. That was the same as the other one. Try to stretch it while you're wrapping. Very gentle though, because this is just paper, you know. It will break if you go too wild and stretch it hard. Very gentle. Alright, the end. And the ceiling. The same concept for the legs, okay? Finishing with the other leg here. You don't really have to cover the whole entire thing, because I also work filling it up with aluminum foil, unless you don't do the aluminum foil to fill up some areas and you're gonna do it like with solid clay, the whole thing, and then you need to cover the whole thing with the floral paper, because this is mostly helping the clay to get stuck into the wire, okay? That's what it's doing. I usually fill up with aluminum foil, so I don't really cover every single part of this. There we go. Oh my god, just a tiny bitty teeny there. Jesus. Luckily, oh my god, you can connect pieces here because they glued to each other. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you. And I also use a leftover piece that I have. All right. And just squeeze it hard here. It will seal itself. There you go. Now, from my following steps, I really want to go back to my pattern and mark the joints. So I need to know what the elbows and the knees are going to be before I start doing the next step. Okay, there we go. So my elbow is going to be right here and here, right here. And the knees, same, I have to mark down. I need to know where is it gonna go, that's all I need to know. There we go, knees, joint, and joint. Dun dun, I have a mark there. Like I said, in my skeleton here, in my armature, I like to follow the shape of the body in this aerial view. I will do that on the side view too, but right now I'm concentrated on the front view, or the aerial view, whatever you want to call it. So I try to follow a little bit of that body shape. Because the bones, you know, the bones had a shape. It's not just straighten up, no? It has a little bit of a shape. I will also do the side view. Okay, on the side view, the curvature will go of the knee down. There is a curvature that goes back here actually a little bit. Not a little, it's actually a lot. You see this? Look at this beautiful curvature on here. That's kind of like the shape that all the bones together make. So we're not made about straight lines really. And I do like to keep things real when I'm making just this the armature. Everything goes like that. And of course, later on we will do also the spine. It has a shape too. It's like an S shape. My doll most likely is going to be sitting down. Because it's going to be a witch, a pin-up witch, and it's going to be a sexy character, a sexy naughty character for saying it like that. I'm also going to do a little bit of a bend on there. This is just to help me visually. There you go. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to be playing around giving the pose to my doll. In order of doing that for your project, you need some kind of a leverage or helping hands here. That's why we go through the epoxy clay. Alright, next step is you're gonna grab any kind of epoxy clay you have. It could be apes, it could be magic sculpt. In this case I have in my hand the steel stick. This thing it dries pretty much fast, but anything. It doesn't have to be something specifically, okay? You could always wear gloves when you're going to handle epoxy. Or, I also know that you can do some petroleum jelly to protect your fingers. To protect your skin, better to say. My thing is kinda old, so it's not gonna be so easy to cut. But if you're familiar with epoxy clays, oh, these are two different things. Okay, I forgot about this. So this steel silk or water weld is actually the same. Let me see. Which one is older? Actually, this one seems softer. So this is actually very strong epoxy clay. Very strong. And this is actually not that much, but like in name say, it is water weld. You can actually re-sculpt it with water, a little bit of water. So this is all in one, this presentation of epoxy, because the epoxy always have the part 1 and the part B, part A, part B. This is all together. The part A is outside and the B is inside, or maybe the opposite. But the thing is, in this kind of epoxy clay, this presentation, you just cut a little piece, like that, And then you just grab this. I'm gonna put more petroleum on my fingers, and you mix it. Epoxy clay will always come in that presentation. You have to mix 2 parts, okay? So you have to mix this very well. And with this epoxy, we're going to do the reinforcement. We're going to do the reinforcement of my skeleton or armature here, whatever you want to call it. I might need to do a little bit more. Actually, light colors is better, because you don't want the dark color clay or tape to be showing through the polymer clay later on. It has to be thoroughly mixed. You can find this brand, the Water Welt, any kind of a hardware store. And the plumbing area, I will say most likely. Alright, and this actually dries pretty fast, like half hour or something like that. Usually epoxy clays take like several hours to cure and harden. Pieces, I don't need much. So this is all reinforcement, remember that, okay? And it's also going to help you pose your skeleton, your armature that we're making here. Then you're going to wrap it on the wire like this, all the way around from joint to joint. Pretty much like that. Try to make it a little bit uniform. Like that. I actually like that this thing is white actually. It usually comes in a gray color. And the steel silk is actually dark gray. So probably was a good idea. I did not use that one here. Here and also here. I'm not touching the joint. That's why I leave it a mark. This is a little bit curved. I want it a little bit more. There we go. This is just going to give some leverage there, and it's going to help you pose nicely this skeleton without losing the joint area, which is that's the most common mistake here. You don't put a reinforcement. So again, this is a process that I will always do. There we go. So okay, and the arms, and the same idea on the legs, okay? I'm gonna fill up this part, leave the joint free, and fill up the lower part of the leg. Alright, if you're doing this kind of epoxy clays, I was trying to pick, these are fast curing. Where is it? Aha! This one cures actually in a matter of minutes. This is the steel one. This is the steel one. So if you're not that fast working, or you want to take your own time doing this, that's fine, but oh, I can't take this off. This one is also like an hour or something like that. It was kind of getting dry while I was working it. But there you go. I don't know, there. You can probably see it there better. Now I'm gonna let this fully cure. And I need to build something for the rib cage and the hips also. I'm not gonna do that with the clay, although I could. But I'm gonna use some aluminum foil for that. But first I want this to cure fully, be all nice and strong, okay? Alright, wow, this thing really dry fast. It's been just maybe half hour and that's it. So I was telling you about the spine here, remember? We're gonna go on the side and give it a little bit of a shape, because no neck goes straight like that. There you go. An angle there. an angle here, most likely here the angle, like an S, like I was telling you. Doesn't matter how pose is going to have your doll. Pretty much, I keep faithful to these shapes and also the shoulders. Well, things like the shoulder will still be bendable. Okay, a little bit like that, and there you go. It has a little bit curvature in there, and the hips, a little bit like that. And that's it. It's gonna look kind of weird on the side, but as it gets stuff put on there, build up of the body shape, you will notice that everything is starting to get to making sense. So now I need to build a core for the chest, and most likely that the chest and the hips and the hips. Jesus. Okay. For that I use some aluminum foil. And this is the reason why I did not wrap with fluoro tape this part, because it was going to have aluminum foil there, and so it was pretty much irrelevant. I try to undo this a little bit. Always do this so you will get more volume. There we go. We're kind of trying to make the shape, to make out the shape of the ribs actually. That is the idea here. I'm gonna cut more strips, paper, any kind of aluminum foil that you can find, nothing specific. It will help a lot if I put this against the pattern, so it will help me to take on the amount of material I need to use to fill up this part. I'm almost there actually. You don't want to go crazy with this because you are hoping to build up with the clay. This is just going to be a helpful to go under all of that. But of course this is not going to be your final shape. As much of a basic shape of ribs you can give it, the best. I mean, I can even go and try to shape it like this, you know, the area of the ribs, that particular shape that it has. That will be very, very helpful for you to start your sculpture. If you give it a nice, like a true to shape, a skeleton shape. I need to fill it a little bit more here. Just a little bit more. Nice thing with this paper, you can totally give it a nice overall shape on here. That's why it's always good to have a side view of your pattern, so you can tell also you might be putting too much material on this view, on the side view. So both you should totally and completely check. If this is happening here, I could use aluminum tape just to keep it in place, or if I am pretty much happy and done with the shape, I can just use like a flap. I should have cut this longer. I might need to use my tape still. There we go. There, like I said, as much as possible, make it look like a real ribs. The overall shape. I am in a bad angle right now, so I can't really see it that well. I really hope it looks like a nice chest cavity on the screen. For me, the point of view is not that good really. So let me do this. You see, I was doing something wrong here. Alright. Sorry about that. I need to push a little bit more here. But I can't see it. It's very, very important when you're sculpting to have great view of what are you doing for proportions and everything. Alright, that goes for the chest. Let me get it to my point of view for 1 second. Alright, to have a better idea of what the heck you're doing, it's always helpful to go online and download just a basic shape of a skeleton, just like this. It's not my tutorial, my thing. I just got it from Google. So it will help me. I try to match it to the size of my doll though. As much as a visual help you can ever get for sculpting, the better. If you can pay it for the books on oh my god, this thing is for a sculptor's thingy. Oh my god, I forgot the name, reference for a sculptor, something like that. If you can pay to get all those books, e-books or whatever, as much reference for sculpting you can get, the better. If you want to do this kind of sculpting and making dolls, all of this, you need a lot of anatomical reference to work with and to learn from. Of course, nothing compares better than having a live model, okay, of course. That is for sure. So I'm trying to match this one, but I cannot try to get, when I get a little bit of the shape of the hip bones here. Anatomy for a sculpture, yay! Oh, there you go. That's the thing. Sometimes they do have 3D models too. That's actually pretty incredibly useful. I think they are restocking now on 3D models though. A few years ago they used to sell like a female model in different poses and you could rotate it and all that. It was pretty cool. But right now I check back on the page and it's only the books that they have. They don't have the 3D models anymore. It said it's coming soon though, so you might totally want to check that later. Because you don't know the difference of having a live model. Or at least some three-dimensional model that you can look at when you're sculpting. So as you can see, is necessary to do this? No. But I remember also the tutorial for my dead fairies. They do have more of the bone shapes when you do the base, because they look pretty much decaying like skeletons. So they do need to have a little bit more of the bone shape. Right now I'm just being fancy. But nobody says that this is not gonna help me when I have to put only the flesh around this. So it's actually going to be not a bad, but a good thing to do. So you see, I'm trying to achieve a little bit of the shape of the hip bones there. I'll get over to my pattern here. So I made pretty much, you see, a little bit of a shape here, 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 the same. This one's going right here. I'm not meaning to make a very skinny anorexic doll. As you can see, my pattern, she's a little bit more meaty. This one is completely awkwardly skinny. I don't really care for that, because to me it's not that, I don't know, it looked too artificial being that super skinny. Especially for a pin-up, a vintage lady from back of those years, like Marilyn Monroe, Greta Garbo, and all these back in those years, they were not super skinny ladies. They actually had a lot of meat on their bodies, and they were curvy, nicely. And anyway, my doll is not going to be skinny. She's going to be nicely meaty and curvy. Alright, I think that's good for something basic here. If I want to cover this with aluminum foil, I can totally do that. Yeah, you can totally cover this, probably to have it more firm there. You don't have to do this shape, you just have to be like a little bunch of aluminum foil there. As long as it's inside the body parting, the parts that you're feeling, you're good. Okay? This is my basic armature ready to make my art doll. I really hope you guys enjoy this mini tutorial, and don't remember to sign up for the class. This is going to be a very fun class, making a sexy witch. By very soon, now is coming. You still can apply for the class. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on, and I will try to make more of these mini tutorials for you guys. And thank you for liking us and following us. Please subscribe to our channel. And yeah, have a nice one.